Greetings. My name is Lennon Honor, and I greet you with lots of love, peace, and positivity. I'm out here in nature doing some videos for premium members on my website, lennonhonor.com, but I figured I'd do a couple of videos for YouTube folk as well. So welcome to my YouTube page. If this is your first time, welcome, and I want to encourage you to subscribe. If you're not a subscriber already, just go ahead and subscribe now. I do a lot of different types of videos dealing with a lot of different types of topics, anything from spirituality to metaphysics, male-female relationships, raising children, manhood. I also do comedy videos too up here from time to time as well. And I'm out here in nature, and there's the thing about nature is there's always unexpected. So, or at least to a degree. And so there's these flies that keep harassing me. So I hope y'all don't mind if I'm doing like this. Don't think that because you won't see them, but I can see them, or I can feel them buzzing around. And one of the topics I really like talking about is the topic of manhood and the model that we set for how we live as men. And so I had a question that had come in some time ago, many months ago on YouTube, and I tried to get caught up on all the questions, but I just don't have the time. I really don't. I have other stuff going on, premium membership on my website, doing radio shows, interviews, books, all kinds of stuff. So, but I want to talk about it, or I want to answer a couple of questions while I'm out here in nature for premium members, if y'all don't mind. I'm going to end up turning the camera and having a seat. Matter of fact, I think I'll go ahead and do it now. I'll go ahead and state the question now. What's your take on men who are in their mid-20s and early 30s who have their sexuality questioned for not having kids or because they turn some women down? Also, women who have other women look at them crazy for not having kids or sleeping around, and parents who put pressure on them because they want grandkids. So we'll say grandchildren. This is a very good question too, by the way. So I want to thank the person who asked. I believe it was a male. I'm just going to go, if y'all don't mind, I'm going to go ahead and reorganize here. I want to bring the camera over here so that I can get comfortable and talk, if y'all don't mind. And I'm out here in nature. It's really wonderful out here. I want to go up here. Let me just go ahead and show you what it looks like over there. Let me just pan over there real quick. I want to go up and walk up there and find a location. Yeah. I think in the wintertime or after the snow season, water comes all down here. And then there's a waterfall around here too. I've already passed that, but it's dried up right now. But it's really nice out here. Just give y'all a little sample of the environment. If you hear this fly buzzing around, don't just pay it no mind, because it's right here in my ear. Okay, so let me see. I think that'd be cool right there. All right. Okay. So let me have a seat, and I'd like to answer this question. I won't take too long, I promise. Some of these videos I do is like an hour, 2 hours, but I won't take that long with this question. Okay, how's that? Is that all right? Yeah, I think that's cool. Okay, so men who are in their 20s and 30s and early 30s who have their sexuality questioned for not having kids or because they turn some women down. And, first thing I like to say is that, the current paradigm, for some reason, manhood is defined by how many women you've had sex with or how much sex you're having. And somehow that's what makes you a man. That's what makes you valuable in society. So when you're not doing that or you're doing something different, people may begin to question you. Okay, first they may question like, why not? But then they may begin to question like, your sexuality, or they may even question, you as a man. You're not man enough, or maybe you don't like women or what have you. But that all comes from this notion that as men, we should be out there having sex with as many women as we possibly can be, especially in our quote unquote prime years, And I will say that particular paradigm is very dysfunctional, and it's also abusive. It's abusive to males. It's also abusive to women. When we think that somehow by, having sex with women, it's somehow it makes us more of a man. But in most cases, what we're really doing is that we're damaging women, because if it's not something in a committed relationship or it's long standing, we're basically using them for sexual intercourse and not much more. And as it relates to manhood and masculinity, that's not what it means to be a man. But the current social program and the paradigm is that that's what it means to be a man. So when you do something different, if you're not having in other words, if you're not sexually promiscuous, then somehow there's something wrong with you. So how do we deal with that as men? For those of us who have made a commitment to having a level of sexual discipline, okay, and I'm really big on that, having sexual discipline. I've been married, my wife and I, we've been married for 12 years, almost 13 years. And we have 5 beautiful children. And at this point, we don't plan on having any more children. So we have to exercise a level of sexual discipline. We don't use like, condoms or any of that kind of stuff. So basically it's just abstinence. Okay. So, there's been times where my wife and I, we hadn't had sexual intercourse for, 6 months, 8 months. Okay. But it's not because I don't love her. She doesn't love me. It was just because situation and circumstance, it made it necessary for us to abstain. Okay. And, it's common for us not to have sexual intercourse for like maybe, 6 weeks. There's other things too I could probably talk about in terms of how you can plan based upon a woman's cycle and when she's fertile, in terms of particular times during each month where you can have sexual intercourse and pregnancy won't take place. But that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother time. Maybe someday I'll do a video on that where I'll bring out the cycle beads and I'll show you all the cycle beads. And men, y'all should know this anyway. But the point being is that you have to have a level of sexual discipline, and you should have a level of sexual discipline even if you're not in a relationship. Okay, you should still have a level of sexual discipline. This means, because in the context of a male-female relationship, if your wife or your mate does not want to have sexual intercourse, you should be man enough to have sexual discipline to say, okay, we don't have to go there, and you don't have to like coerce her or force her or try to manipulate her to have sexual intercourse. And there's a lot of men that do stuff like that. To be honest with you, I've done stuff like that in the past. When I was at a particular level in my growth to where I was, begging, and when I look back, I'm disappointed in myself. I feel like it was, it was childish. It was selfish. And I'm disappointed. Okay. But that was part of my growth process. It's just where I was at during that time. I don't do that now, though, but that's because I've grown. I'm 37 years old now. My wife and I, we've been together for 12 years, 5 babies. You grow and you mature. But these are things that men, we should be talking about early on. We should actually be talking about these types of things when we are boys. And this prepares us so later on we can understand the value of having a level of sexual discipline, so that when your mate does not want to have sex with you, how do you navigate that? Well, you know how to navigate that because you've already been instructed as to how to deal with that. Again, have sexual discipline. Can you abstain for 2 months? Can you abstain from sexual intercourse for a month? Can you abstain from masturbation for 2 weeks? Can you abstain from masturbation, from masturbating, let's say a month, 6 months, a year? It's about discipline. And as a man, you have the power to do that. And I think for men, you got to be disciplined. In part, your discipline allows you to function as a man. Okay, this also means that if you're having sexual intercourse, you should be disciplined enough and responsible enough in terms of what you're doing when you're having sexual intercourse. You should also be disciplined enough to be able to maintain your erection for a period of time to where you actually please your mate. Okay, and I'm saying mate meaning that you're in a committed relationship, because I'll propose that, it's destructive to be out there having sexual intercourse with people that you don't know. Like, you should really experience that particular experience with someone that you know, that you care for, and someone who means something to you. So that way the sexual intercourse will mean something to you. Otherwise it's just, doing it just to do it. Right. And a lot of us men, that's how we've been taught. You do it just to do it. That's what it means to be a man. Just do it. Right. We get it in the media programming. We get it in the music. I just want to get up and turn the camera a little bit this way so I can walk. That's an important topic. So the importance and the value of having sexual discipline is it's underestimated, especially for men. And sometimes when you have sexual discipline, people look at you and think that there's something wrong with you. What's wrong? I'm going like this because it's a fly. What's wrong with him? What kind of man is he? Why isn't he having all this sexual intercourse? And why doesn't he have, I've had sexual intercourse with, let's see, 3 women in my life. And all of those relationships were positive relationships. They were functional relationships. They were meaningful relationships, meaning that I cared for those women. And, of course, the third woman being my wife. Okay. So 3 women in my life. And there are, men who will have sex with 3 women in a day. Okay. And I'm telling you, there are men who live that way. But I was never like that. I couldn't do that. Part of it was I had a level of respect for my body, a respect for my penis. I had a high level of respect for women. Also hygienically, that's another thing I think we tend to not think about, but that when you're having sexual intercourse, it is, your hygiene, it's important to recognize that, you may be putting your penis inside a vagina of someone who may not necessarily be hygienic, or you may be putting your penis into a vagina of a woman who may have just had sexual intercourse with someone else and his semen is still inside her vagina. So these are things you got to think about, because ultimately, you may be putting your penis into another man's semen. Something to think about. I mean, these are the type of things I should think about. See, if you're in a committed relationship with someone, you don't have to worry about those types of things. You know, you don't have to think about that. You know, you don't have to worry about, okay, where has she been? And she doesn't necessarily have to think about where have you been either. You know, what have you done? You know, for you women, think about it. You know, you might be having sex, you know, promiscuous sex, and you may be having sex with a man that you don't really know. And this happens. Okay, I'm not judging anyone. I'm just saying that this happens. But you don't know that same man, he may have last week raped some woman, but you don't know that. You don't know him. You don't know his character. You don't know his quality. Or he may have the night before had anal sex with someone and had his penis inside a woman's vagina. Inside a woman's anus. And now he's putting it into your vagina. Think about it. Just on a hygienic level. I think this is something that people need to think about. But because the programming has us so ultra sexualized, we don't necessarily think about, you know, the exchange of bodily fluids and what that means. I mean, literally every time you have sexual intercourse, you're modifying yourself genetically. Think about it. I'm going to say it again, but I want you to think about it as I try to get this fly to leave me alone. Think about it. Every single time you have sexual intercourse, you are genetically modifying your body, because in the process of sexual intercourse, you are exchanging bodily fluids. Okay, so every time you exchange bodily fluids, there's an exchange of internal chemistry. And you change your chemistry because you take on the chemistry of the person that you're having sexual intercourse with, and vice versa. Therefore, as you take on their chemistry, you are actually manipulating and changing and modifying your own genetic being, if you will. Okay, that's why, you know, sex and sexual intercourse is not something that should be taken lightly, because it is an exchange of information. Sexually, we're transmitting information. It's not just having fun and feeling good. We're transmitting biological genetic information. Think about it. That's how it is that we can create life, because it's an exchange of genetic information. Sex and sexual intercourse is about the exchange of genetic information. And this goes all the way across the board: plants, animals, etc. Okay. So I'm saying all this to say that for us men who are committed to having a level of sexual discipline, it can be a challenge, because most males that we may be interacting with lack sexual discipline. And I'll tell y'all, like, I can go without having sexual intercourse for a year. I can do it. I can boast about it too. I can do it. I can go and there's been times, like, for instance, this is what I mean. Like, you have to have sexual discipline for men. See, my wife and I, we've had 5 babies. So see, a lot of men, because we don't study, we don't research, and we don't like study, you know, the female anatomy, and then we don't necessarily talk. We may even study a little bit of the anatomy, but we don't talk about, okay, what happens after, you know, during the pregnancy, when she's pregnant, what happens to her body, what's going on with her, you know, what are the hormonal differences in her body? We don't talk. We don't necessarily talk about these things, but also what happens once the baby comes out, once the baby is born. Okay, and her vagina is not the same. You men do understand this, that when a woman gives birth, her whole anatomy in this lower section, really, you know, her abdomen, it has to change. It has to change so that the life can grow, but also so that the life can actually come about, meaning so that it can come to the birth canal and come out of the vagina. And the vagina opens up so that baby's head can come out first. In most cases, that's the head, okay, that comes out first. Okay, and so in order for a vagina to get that, and I've actually seen this because I delivered my last 3 children at home, me and my wife. Okay, so that's what I mean. Like, the standard that we set for manhood and masculinity, we need to up the bar for you men. See, we think that what it means to be a man is to have sex and sexual intercourse with as many women as you can. If you don't, something's wrong with you. I'm going to question your sexuality. No. That's a very low standard to set. No, what I'm saying is have sexual discipline. And then if you do decide to have sex, make sure that, or sexual intercourse with a woman, make sure that woman is the caliber of woman that you would want to raise a family with. Doesn't mean that you have to raise a family with or that you have to conceive children, but she should be of that quality and caliber. And you should be of the quality and caliber of a man who would be able to support a family. Doesn't mean that you have to have a family with the person, but you should be at that level. Okay. See, this is like saying, you know, I'm going to go into the gates of this wonderful place, but you haven't prepared yourself to enter into that place. You see, I'm going to go into this place, this miraculous place called the vagina, but I'm living foul. Does that make sense? No, it doesn't make sense to do something like that. See, as a man, you got to prepare yourself. That's why the idea, symbolically speaking, is you must become erect You must stand erect in order to enter into that vagina. That's symbolic of you as a man standing erect, being righteous. See, I rarely use that word, but I'm going to use it here because this is so true. See, this is the difference between a man and an honorable man. Honorable man, we live by a particular code of decency, respect, dignity, respect for women, respect for our penis, respect for the vagina. You see what I'm saying? So how do we navigate in that time when our mate has given birth to our child, and her vagina has morphed into this vehicle through which something can come out of, meaning birth life? And do you know that it takes several months for the vagina to return back to its previous condition, to where your penis entering through the vagina becomes functional again? See, a lot of us don't know that. Why? Why not? See, we know about, okay, we need to have sex and sexual intercourse with men. We know about that. But why don't we know that? Because our daddies didn't teach us that. See, the standard has been set so low. Our fathers did not teach us that, or our fathers were not there. But this is what we should be teaching our sons. I'm going to teach my sons that. They're going to know all that. They're going to know the menstrual cycle. All right. They're going to know, the anatomy of themselves, the urethra, the vas deferens. What is all of this? Daddy? Oh, it's just your, that's just your dick. That's like how we used to say it back in the day. Okay, everything's been reduced to these simplified terms, but we don't understand the complexities of it all, the workings of it all. The labia majora, labia minora, we can't talk on those terms, most of us. Why not? Because we haven't studied. How are we going to study? It's interesting because we'll talk sex all day, but we don't even know the body parts. You know what I'm saying? We'll talk sex all day, and dudes get together, they talk sex all day, but they don't know body parts. So there's a level of ignorance that goes along with it. And that ignorance is also reflective in sexual promiscuity. So when you don't do that, when you're not sexually promiscuous, in other words, when you have sexual discipline, something's wrong with you. Think about it. See, I'm very big on this, that we have to develop sexual discipline as men. So getting back to the question here, men are in their mid-20s and early 30s. See, I should mention that when I went to college, I was 17, and I took a vow of abstinence from the age of 17 until the age of 23. I believe it was 23. So no sexual intercourse. And in college, that's when most males are like, I'm going to be having as much sex as I can. I'm away from home. All these women that I ain't never seen before. I'm going, and it's not that I didn't have opportunities, but trust me, it's not that I didn't have any opportunities. But there was something about my life experience where I said, based upon my previous experiences with past relationships, where I said, you know what, the most important thing that I can do right now is to abstain from sexual intercourse and work on myself. Become erect, in other words. Become an honorable individual. And it wasn't that I was foul, but I recognized that I need to become something greater so that what I presented to women would be something that was great. See, why, we should think that way as men. It's not about just being a man and hanging out with other dudes. No, that's not it. It's about being able to present something to women that reaches beyond the normalized version of what manhood is. In other words, you become an honorable man, and you got to work on yourself in order to do that. And part of working on yourself, for many of us, it is about being sexually disciplined, because a lot of us, we get the porn, we get all the media propaganda, the sexualization of women, the objectification of women, especially the porn stuff, whether that's on the internet, on DVDs, watching it on the computer, back in the day on VHS tapes. A lot of y'all don't know what that is. That's all right. That porn stuff, that is huge. That got a lot of us turned upside down in terms of our psychosexuality. In other words, how we perceive sex and sexual intercourse mentally has been so skewed because of the various degrees of media manipulation that has mind controlled us sexually. And we got other factors too, like early sexual activation, wherein we are being activated as beings, human beings, at a very early age, prematurely. I call it premature sexual activation. That's a problem too, which is a topic for another time. But because of this, in terms of our functionality as men, we have a very difficult time making a transition into where we have a level of sexual discipline. And so therefore, for those of us who do attain that level of masculinity and manhood, of sexual discipline, there are others who will look upon us and think that somehow something's wrong with us. They may say that, okay, he must be homosexual, or maybe this, he just doesn't like women, or maybe he's just a weak dude. These are the types of things that people will begin to think. But the truth of the matter is that you actually have to be a very strong man in order to have sexual discipline. But every man can, because every man has within him the power to become something greater than he currently is. You see what I'm saying? That's the masculine principle. Every single morning when you wake up and you have that erection, that morning erection, that is symbolic. That's symbolic of your potential as a man to become something greater. You rise in the morning with the sun and you are erect. There's a reason why. That's not by accident. See, it's a symbolic treatment. It's in your own, it's in your very physiology. It's in your biology. It tells you every single day you are reminded of your ability to become something greater. And you're reminded by your penis. When you wake up in the morning and you have that erection. See, erection, you have to be upright. You got to stand tall. See, and if you want to even go take it a step further, in order to enter into a vagina, you have to stand tall. Okay, but not just your penis, you as a man. But in order to do that, you must refine yourself. So when I was in college, I made a commitment to refine myself. I worked on my speech. I studied. I worked on how I dressed, how I presented myself. My thoughts. I'm still working on the thoughts. It's a constant process of purification and personal refinement. But you commit to it as a man because you have the power to become something greater. And so during this time, though I had many opportunities, and I will say many, to have sexual intercourse, instead what I did was I developed friendships, genuine friendships with women, young ladies, I should say, while I was in college. And you will be surprised that, during that time, it was older women who took me under their wing and made sure that I was, on the right path. See, that's why when I talk about women, I don't have hangups like a lot of males do, who may have been damaged by women and they didn't take the time to heal from those relationships. And so now they have this animosity towards women. Or they call women bitches and hoes and all this kind of stuff. Women are gold diggers and women ain't, look, I'll just say it like I said, women ain't shit. There's men who have this philosophy, but this philosophy comes from the lens of a damaged male who has not healed from past experiences and past trauma that is associated with failed relationships, that is associated with his own issues with his own mother, his own issues with his own sisters, his own issues with his aunts and other women throughout his life. See, I don't have those hangups because in my life, I have been thoroughly guided by the feminine principle. Okay, and I'm saying feminine principle because it's not just women. It's also in terms of the energy of the earth, thoroughly guided. Okay, I don't want to get too metaphysical here. But the point being is that I don't have these hangups, and also those relationships that didn't work out in my past experience. And even though I was hurt because of those relationships, because of what a woman may have done, I didn't say to myself that I was going to hold on to that. And I'm going to say that just because one woman, quote unquote, did me wrong or hurt me, that all women were bad. Instead, what I did was I healed. That's why I had to take time off from relationships, take time off from sexual intercourse, but gain clarity, develop my mind, develop my intellect. Develop my ability to speak. See, you'll be surprised because there's a lot of males that I knew in college that are still thinking and operating like they operated when they were in college, which is no different than what they operated like when they were in high school. So the intellectual progressions and the sexual discipline, the discipline of one's body to have self-control, that's not something that they've been, and to be responsible for all that they create. That's not something that they have attained. Why? Because they were not committed to their own refinement. So in college, they were doing like what everyone else was doing, having sex with as many women as they could, partying, drugs, alcohol. So not me. No, because I had to become something greater. So in the midst of committing to something like this, for you men, you will be challenged. You will be challenged by men and you'll be challenged by women. But you also will be supported by men and women, and you will inspire a great many men and women. You will inspire a great many young boys, young males, to see a potential in them, right? You will inspire them to become something greater than they currently are. You will inspire them to perceive themselves as being something greater than they are. And then they can go through the process and use you as an example as what they can become. You can also inspire women so that women don't believe that all men are out here simply trying to have sex or to take advantage of women. It's not true. All men are dogs. It's not true. See, that paradigm is reflective of a mentality. It's not a reality. It's just a perception. I should say that, it will become a reality if you have that perception. Okay. Just to get a little metaphysical. It will become because, reality is relative. So what you believe, that's what's going to be for you. But that doesn't mean that it's going to be for everybody. So because so many men have lacked sexual discipline, there has been a lot of damage that has been done unto women. And there are a lot of women, because of these different degrees of damage, and they haven't taken the time to heal from these these levels of damage or trauma, if you will. They have begun to believe and look through the lens of that trauma and believe that all men are that way. But that's not true. So for us men who live a life that is reflective of, truly respecting women and honoring women, which I do in my everyday life with my wife. She'll verify this. OK, we provide inspiration to those women who have been abused, who have been harmed. And they can say, well, you know what? There are some good men out there. Yes, there's a whole bunch of us out here. You just got to open your eyes and be open to the possibility in the first place. A lot of us, we just simply don't think that it's possible. Just like a lot of us males, we don't think it is possible for us to have sexual discipline. Why not? Yeah, you can have sexual discipline. I mean, if someone wanted to, and I could do this like literally for a year. If someone said, look, bro, I'm going to provide you and your family let's say $200,000 at the end of the year if you commit to sexual abstinence. Let's go. No problem. No problem. They said $50. Like, come on, man, 50. But I'm saying 200,000. Sure. Let's go. Let's do it. Write up the contract. Let's make it legal. Sexual abstinence for a year. Can you do it for $200,000? Absolutely, for $200,000. No problem. $200,000 a year later, and buy my family a home. Pay off my student debt. Pay off my wife's student debt. We're going to use the rest of down payment on a home. Yeah, of course. No problem. But why? Because I have sexual discipline and I know that I'm a disciplined person. OK, so how do we navigate this? Because I've already gave you an example of my own experience in terms of being in college, and I had plenty of opportunity to have sexual intercourse. I should mention, that there were women that I would, especially like in my fifth year in college, I gave myself a little bit of leeway and I started to at least consider being in a relationship. But there was never sexual intercourse, meaning, penetration of, I hate using that word, but, a penis entering into the vagina, or nothing like, what do they call that? I don't know what they call that stuff, but, maybe touching, groping kind of stuff, but nothing, you know what I'm saying? And I just want to share that too, because I'm a very candid person. But the point being is that to have sexual discipline, I was committed to that, and I was refining myself throughout my college years. And there was a lot of women, young ladies who took me under their wing and guided me accordingly. And see, the beautiful thing is that they guided me, and it wasn't like that there was any expectation. And these were older, classmates or class women, if you will, class men, class women. It wasn't that they had expectations, because that happens too sometimes. People, I want to help you out. A man talking to a woman, I want to help you out. Maybe he's a little older. I want to help you out. I want to do this for you. Make sure you get on the right track. I want to help you with your business. I want to help you with this. But that's all a pretense, because he really just wants to have sexual intercourse. Okay, so he'll run the game, as we should say, and he'll run the game for an extended period of time just so that ultimately he can have sexual intercourse, as we used to say back in the day, so he can get in them draws. Okay, the beautiful thing about when I was in college, and I was going to say when I was a child, because really I was operating on a childlike level. Okay, people think that we're grown men. No, that's simply not true. Manhood is something totally different than where I was at then, and being an honorable man is something totally different. There's a difference between being a man and being an honorable man. See, what I aspire towards and what I try to live is being an honorable man. Okay, this doesn't mean that I'm perfect, but that's what I aspire towards. Not just a man, okay? Definitely not a boy. But the beautiful thing about the women that I dealt with was, who were guiding me, was that it wasn't pretentious. They didn't have ulterior motives at all. And they literally took me under their wing like a little brother, and they guided me in my path. So as I was purifying and growing, they were right there with me, and they were giving me advice. They were, suggestions. I would have different questions about different things, and they would sit down and talk with me, so forth, so on. And so this is what I'm saying. Like, I've had this experience with women throughout my life. I can go back to my mom, my mother, a beautiful woman, a beautiful mother, raised 6 children by herself. My dad was he was an alcoholic, he's abusive, physically abusive to my mother. All types of stories I can tell you about him brutalizing my mother. He was alcoholic, he was drug addict, a whole lot of marijuana. He even used to grow marijuana, like on the side of the house, which was interesting. So I grew up with a lot of that kind of stuff, but then he got into to hardcore drugs, ultimately got on crack. At that point, it was just totally, and then by the age of 13, he was out of the home. Okay, he wasn't really in the home anyway, because when he was in the home, he was so dysfunctional. He was stealing stuff. I remember my first job, it was a paper route. I lost my first job as a paper boy, because when I collected the money to pay my boss, I collected the money from the people who had subscriptions. My dad, he ended up stealing the money to go buy drugs. And so when the guy came to pick it up, I didn't know my dad had stole it. So when my mother went to go get the money was missing. And so she was asking me questions, and I ended up getting fired from that job. Later on, I realized that years and years later, probably about 10, 15 years later, I said, why did I lose that job? And I remember, oh, wait a minute, my dad, he was on drugs. My mom asked, and I remember my dad, when I brought the money home, he told me to put it on the piano. And I said, no, mom told me to put it such and such. He said, and he got mad. He said, no, put it on the piano. But my mother told me not to put it up, leave it anywhere out, because she knew my father would have stolen it. So when he saw that I brought the money home, he told me, he was very forceful about it. So I ended up putting it up on the piano, and he stole that money. And I lost my job, my first job that way. The reason I'm bringing that up is because, in my life, I have seen the worst in men. I really have. I've seen the worst in men, from drug addicts, to pimps, to gangbangers. I have a lot of gangbangers in my family too, straight gang banging. Okay. The worst in men, a lot of male friends who died because of drive-bys in San Diego, growing up in the, a lot of people don't remember that, but that's like in the 80s, into early 90s. Yeah, even mid 90s though, actually. Yeah. It's like, let's say early 90s. A lot of people forget about that time period, but that was a really rough time period. And there were so many people who were dying, and friends of mine, a lot of friends of mine died during that time. So I've seen the worst, I really have. And throughout all of that, I wasn't traumatized by women, because going back to grandma, to my mom, my sisters, my older sister used to take care of us. My mom had to work. And so my older sister, basically, she had to step up to the plate and take care of all of us, because my dad, he was so out there. So what I'm getting, and then I get, then all, different teachers and so forth. It's not that I didn't have any males who were positive, though. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is that I don't have hangups about women, because I wasn't traumatized by women. And when I had bad experiences, like when, for instance, my one of the girlfriends I had in high school when I was in 11th grade, it was, she told me later on that the reason why she got me was because she made a bet with a friend that between the two of them, like, who could have sex with him first. I was a musician. It was like, oh, okay, he's a musician. Okay, we want to see who can have sex with him first. And that's the reason why she got me. And that harmed me. That really hurt me. It really did. At that age, like, I might have been, 15? Because I was a year ahead in school. Yeah, about 15 years old. That really hurt me. But did I use that as an excuse to think that all women were bad? And then now I can call all women and have free liberty to just call all women bitches and make these broad generalizations about women? Absolutely not. I mean, you have to really come from a place of a damaged male to have that orientation. And what you find is that, and I said this in another video for premium members, that people premium members on my website. If you're not a premium member, sign up, because I do these types of videos for premium members on my website. You'll find that in general, human beings tend to see the world through the lens of their traumas. Write that down if you can, because I think this is important. This ties to the question. I know that I'm talking about other things, but this ties to the question. We tend to see the world through the lens of our trauma, and because we see the lens of our trauma, everything is skewed based upon that particular traumatizing event that we see through. So if we were traumatized by women, we see the world through a male who is traumatized by women. So when we see women, we see them as this traumatizing force. So that's when we get to the point where we totally disrespect all women, or we make these sweeping generalizations about women. They're gold diggers, they're bitches and hoes and all this kind of stuff. If y'all excuse my language, because I'm out in nature, I don't feel like it's appropriate for me to be even talking like that while I'm in the midst of Mother Nature. But Mother Nature understands what I'm doing here. That's why I am here right now. Okay. I have to verbalize so that some of you males, y'all know where I'm coming from. Okay. That's the other thing, where I come from, that's how we used to talk. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I just know that that's not something that I, do every day. And I don't talk to my sons that way. I don't talk to my wife that way either, because I've purified myself. I have discipline of tongue. Okay. Discipline your testicles, discipline your penis. Okay. Discipline your tongue. You see what I'm saying? Discipline your body, discipline your mind. That's what it means to be a man. So even while everyone else is doing all this other stuff, you remain disciplined. That's what it means to be a man. And you express that level of discipline in every area of your life. That's where women honor you. Okay. See, the thing, what you'll find is that because we tend, as human beings, all the way across the board, men and women, because we tend to see the world through the lens of our trauma, everything is skewed towards traumatization. And we end up traumatizing others because we see them based upon our trauma. So how we react to them is based upon them being a potential traumatizing force. So instead, what do? We lash out and traumatize them. We traumatize them first. But what's the real issue? The real issue is that we have not healed from our initial trauma. That has nothing to do with that woman. It has nothing to do with the woman who's watching this video right now. And you know who you are. It has nothing to do with them. But because we perceive all women to be a traumatizing force because we haven't healed from that initial trauma that may have come from a past relationship, may have come from our mothers, may have come from our grandmothers, may have come from our aunties, may have come from that woman who molested us when we were a child. We project that onto all women. That's not fair. So what do? We heal the trauma. OK, you heal the trauma. And that's what I did in college. I healed the trauma of being betrayed in past relationships. That relationship when I was in 11th grade, that was betrayal. But I had to take some time off, right, to heal from that. Once I got into college, I was in another relationship when I was in the 12th grade. That's the relationship where I began to first started having sexual intercourse. OK, I was, 16 years old. I was hurt by that relationship because at a certain point, she ended up going, because I couldn't go to the movies with her because I had a performance. And I couldn't go with her to the movies. She actually went to the movies with her ex-boyfriend. And then she felt bad about it, rightfully so. And she told me a couple of days later, she's like, look, I really need to touch her. She was very honest about it, but I couldn't get over that. I couldn't act like I wasn't hurt. I was hurt by it. I felt betrayed. That's one thing about me, too, is like, I am the most loyal person that you'll ever meet. Like, I am so loyal. I'm just that kind of dude. I'm a loyal dude. I am so loyal to my wife. You know what I'm saying? There's no way that I will betray her. I don't hurt her. We don't argue. We never argue. We never fuss and no fussing, no fighting. I mean, that's the mother of my children. I can't do that. There's no way. She carried these babies, 5 of them for 9 months and then birthed them. Y'all know what that women go through just to give birth? Look, I know because I assisted in the birthing process. In the last 3, we gave birth at home, me and my wife. I am one of the most loyal dudes. But the thing is that because I have that level of loyalty, when someone betrays my trust, when someone betrays my loyalty, it's like, it's like the worst. And I can't go back to that dude anymore. It's like if you give so much of yourself on that level, it's either respected or it's not. And if it's not, you can't be that way with that person. So this is going back, even when I was 16, I was a very loyal dude. Thoroughly committed. And I can't say that she was thoroughly committed because I don't know what else she might have been having going on. And even in the relationship when I was in 11th grade, I don't know. I propose she probably had a whole bunch of other stuff going on. Be honest with you, thinking about it now. The point being is that those levels of betrayal, because I'm such a loyal person, I couldn't get beyond that. In other words, I recognize that, look, these are not the type of women that I can be dealing with. And there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't mean that they're bad people, because it's not that they're bad people. I mean, we all have challenges, and there's the choices that we make that aren't the best choices, and we do what we do, So it's not like I looked at them and said that they were bad people or that all women were bad. A lot of men do that because they're harmed by their mother, they're harmed by their aunt, they were molested by somebody, or somebody treated them wrong, or they were betrayed in that relationship. I don't have that issue because I've gone through the healing process, And then, of course, the next relationship was with the older woman. She was 10 years older than I was. And she was a South African, beautiful, beautiful sister, wonderful, nice, very refined, and I appreciated that about her. But with her, the same thing. It was a betrayal issue. I was out in Los Angeles doing it was a series of performances. We had cell phones then, but I couldn't get to the phone all the time because, I was in rehearsals and stuff. And when I get back, she said, like, I need to talk to you. And I was already like, oh, here we go again. She was like, look, I was trying to call you. I couldn't get in contact with you. And so I ended up going, to shopping with my ex-boyfriend. And I was like, what? Here we go again. The same thing, playing the cell phone. But I was learning a lesson, though. You see what I'm saying? That's what I mean. Like, part of this refinement and part of us being a man is like really learning the lesson. Don't take the trauma and then see women through the lens of that trauma. Instead, learn the lesson that particular experience was meant to teach you. And what was the lesson that it meant to teach me? Because I had the 3 opportunities to learn the lesson. Make sure that the next woman that you deal with is a loyal woman, just like you a loyal man. And now I have my wife. Boom. See what I'm saying? So I learned the lesson. But see, if I didn't learn the lesson and I was looking through the lens of this traumatized male because I've been betrayed by 3 women in a row, what am I going to do? Blah, blah, blah. All women are like that. If I look at the lens, my wife, she walked down this path, I won't even see her. I'll see her and say, oh, here comes another woman that's coming to traumatize me. So I'm not even going to, or maybe I'll deal with them, but I won't I won't be all loyal. I'll cheat on them and I'll call them bitches and hoes and all that kind of stuff. You see what I'm saying? See, we tend to see the world through our trauma. And if you don't heal the trauma, not only will you see women in a particular way, but you will also not see the women who are not that way. Y'all know what I'm saying? In other words, if we look through the lens of our traumatization as males, and I'm going to get back to the question, but this all fits in this because I want you to understand that this all goes back to sexual discipline. Because a lot of males, the reason why they're not sexually disciplined is because they look at sex as a means to get back at women, to dominate women. Boom, think about it. She hurt me. She did this. She did that. Okay, I'm going to dominate as many women as I can because I felt betrayed. So I'm going to dominate. I'm going to use my penis as a tool of warfare. Think about it. It ties to the question, does it not? But where does that come from? It comes from a lack of healing from the trauma. You see, most males, I'm going to say all males. It's a sweeping generalization that I will make here. And I'm not going to apologize for it because I want y'all to think about this. I'm going to say males who are sexually promiscuous because they have a level of low self-esteem, low self-worth, and low self-value. That stems from degrees of trauma that has gone unhealed, and that trauma has impacted how they see themselves. And in the case of that trauma coming from women and not healing from that trauma, they use their sexuality and their sexual domination and ultimately their penis as a tool of sexual warfare, because by dominating women sexually in the bed, therefore, they're alleviating the need for them to heal from the trauma that has plagued them so. Boom. That's low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-value. So you have to value, you can't truly value yourself if you're putting your penis into vaginas over and over again for no good reason with people that you don't know. So you're abusing yourself, or you're masturbating all the time. You're just abusing yourself. See, that's just abuse. See, oftentimes when people are traumatized, they don't heal, they look for opportunities to re-traumatize themselves. And this is a subconscious issue, because in re-traumatizing yourself, you afford your subconscious mind with a new opportunity to rectify or to resolve the initial trauma. Okay, this is a whole nother topic for a whole nother time, because I've done the psychological analysis in terms of September 11th and the trauma of September 11th, how the same rule applies. Okay, that's why every single year and around September 11th and the 6 weeks leading up to September 11th, mass media issues particular stories that trigger the trauma of September 11th, stories about Al-Qaeda terror threats, Osama bin Laden, national security issues. Look in the news, ladies and gentlemen, right now. And what do you see? Perfectly predictable. That's triggering the subconscious trauma. Well, the same thing applies to people's subconscious trauma as it relates to the traumatization by women for men. And oftentimes what they do as a consequence is not conscious. It's based upon subconscious traumas that have been submerged deeply within the subconscious mind. And that begins to express itself in physical by sexual domination of women or sexist ideas about women, because it's easier to simply say all women are bad, or that they're inferior to you, or that you should dominate them sexually, than to say, you know what, I got some healing to do. As I've talked about on my show, Visions of Manhood, I talked about it this week, matter of fact. I talked about it yesterday. That the social program is that as men, we do not need to heal. That as men, healing and manhood are mutually exclusive. And there's a wonderful, what are those birds called? Hummingbirds. I had this, it's like a mini vision the other day. And it was like, hummingbirds understand what you're saying, something like that. And then here we go. They're pure. Hummingbirds are pure. And the reason why that thought of purity has come into mind is because I've been detoxing lately, and so the purification, that's why like these words are kind of flowing in a particular way, but that's because I've been going through this detox process. It really helps. And men, you got to detox too. You got to heal too. See, detoxing is also about healing, but you got to heal yourself from those past experiences, because that way you can be upright. So just think about it like your penis, all of these traumatizing experiences. And even when you traumatize yourself by having sexual intercourse with all these different women, what you're doing, your penis may be erect, but you as a man, you are becoming more and more flaccid. Some of y'all down like this. Think about it. See, the idea is that when you heal, you claim your masculine, you claim, your manhood. You respect yourself, you respect women, you respect your penis, you respect the vagina. Now you become erect, and you are standing erect. And that's what you present to women. Not this broke down, hurt male who's looking through the lens of traumatization and looks at women through the lens of traumatization. No. And you will find that males who engage in sexual promiscuity, they do so because they lack sexual discipline and they have not healed from past traumas. And so what do? Just like most people do who have been traumatized, they begin to act out traumatizing behavior upon themselves and upon other people, and in particular upon women. See, for me being traumatized and hurt by those past relationships, I didn't allow that to jade my vision as to the value of women. So whether that be a woman that I see walking down the street or a woman who's viewing this video, my wife or my daughters, don't make me no difference. It's respect. Straight up respect. And you men, you will find that if the woman has any sense, and if she ain't got no sense, you ain't got no business dealing with her. That's the problem with you. Why are you dealing with her? If she got any sense at all, if you issue a level of respect just because she is a woman, most genuine women will go along with the program because it's in the feminine nature. You respect me, let's go. You disrespect me, let's go. Think about it. Okay. So for men who are in their 20s and early 30s who have their sexuality questioned for not having kids or because they turn women down, well, what I will say is for you men who turn women down, you have sexual discipline, and I honor you because I've had to turn quite a few of them down. You see what I'm saying? Especially when I was in college. Like right now, if there was a naked woman walk down this little path right here, straight naked, and just was looking like, woo wee, what is going on here? And she was like, look, I'll have sex with you right now in nature. You think I'm taking? And nobody got to know. We're going to right here up on these rocks. Okay, whatever. Let's go. I am ready. You think I'm taking my penis out and doing that? Absolutely. Hell, look, no. I don't know where you been coming up, walking out here in the woods like that and naked. Look, and if you just offering it up like that to me, who else that's not even hygienic. Ain't gonna happen. See, it's sexual discipline. So any man who has that degree of sexual discipline, I have to honor him. That don't mean that we perfect. It don't mean that you perfect for you men who have sexual discipline. What I am saying, though, is that because of the socialized norm, that means that you're willing to do something different. That means that you have the power to do something different than what is expected of you as a man. And I got to honor that. And you will find that most genuine women who got some sense, they will honor that, too. The last part of this, the other part of this was having children, and there is this pressure sometimes where, we got to have children. You got to have children. And there are people who maybe they put it off and then, they get into their mid 30s and it's like, oh, the clock is ticking. And what I would say is that, for my wife and I'm just using this. This is just from our personal experience. It was an organic thing. It wasn't like we said, okay, when we're this age, we're going to have children. And when we're this age, we're going to have this many and we're going to do this and do that. It wasn't like that. It was an organic thing. What you'll find is that if you are in a committed relationship with someone who truly cares for you and you truly care for them, you respect each other and you're willing to build together. Because that's the thing. We got to think in long term. We're building something into the future. We're building something for the next generation. We're building something for future generations. That's how you really have to think. If you're dealing with, that's your situation, children are going to come naturally, because children want to be born into situations like that. See, they want to be born into a home environment where the man is present, the woman is present, they love each other, they care for each other, and they're willing to do whatever they have to do for their children. Y'all understand this too, by the way. See, it's not just something that we can plan and think about. It's also about just the biological entity that we call the human being, that it will procreate naturally. And what you'll find is that it has a tendency to seek to procreate within an arrangement wherein future generations are taken care of. And I'm not talking just, taking care of financially. I'm talking about love, support, nurturance. And it will happen organically. So the focus should not be on having children. That's the point that I'm getting at here. The focus should be in developing genuine friendships with women in the first place, which I really spend some time. I can befriend women, right? No strings attached, no problem. I love women. I really do. I just love women. Okay, I don't have these hang-ups that a lot of men do. I sincerely love women. I love how they look. I love how they talk. I love how they walk. There's so much. I love women. You see, so from my vantage point, when I talk about male-female relationships, I'm not coming from the vantage point of someone who has like these hang-ups about women. I'm sorry, I'm getting sidetracked, but I really do. I really love women. And then the thing about men is, for men, what I see is the power in us. You know, the power in us to love, the power in us to love women. I mean, we got some serious power, bro. You men, you got to understand this. See, I love women, but I also look, brothers, understand that you got some serious power to impact the reality that is taking place here on planet Earth. You can literally transform the life experience of a woman just by being honorable, because a lot of women have not had that. They didn't even have fathers in the home, but you have the power to thoroughly turn around. There are women who have had these traumatizing life experiences at the hands of men, and you know that you have the power as a man to give them something beautiful for the rest of their life. See, you got power, man. See what I'm saying? I see the power in men. But in order to really get to that point, we got to refine ourselves. And we also got to understand that, look, the pressures of trying to have, that's not the point. The point is not to have children. And the point is not to have sexual intercourse either. The point is to develop genuine appreciation for women, genuine friendships with women, and then allow what takes place as a consequence of that friendship to take place organically. Does that make sense? And I need to close this video out. How long is that? Oh, my goodness gracious. It's about, it's in nature. You know, nature does this to me. I lose track of time. I don't even know how much time. 50 minutes. My goodness gracious. And how much time I have on this? Okay, I got it. Okay. Because I got to get done with all these videos so I can get back home and start uploading premium content for premium members. I got videos like this up there for premium members. A whole lot of other stuff. Sign up as a premium member today if you don't mind. Go over to lennonhonor.com. That's my website, LENONH1R.com, and sign up as a premium member. There's a highlighted link in the navigation bar. I should also mention, share this with somebody. Y'all mind? Just share. Think of it. It could be a man or a woman. Anyone you think would benefit from this. You know, the truth is that I can only imagine where I would be in my life today at the age of 37 if YouTube was around when I was like 12 or 13, you know, when my father had gone thoroughly off the deep end, where he even threatened my life once, where he even put me in situations where, I mean, it's thoroughly, you don't take your son to no crack house. You don't do that. You don't do that. And have your son sitting in the car late at night and just sitting there for hours waiting for daddy to come back in. You don't do that. You know what I'm saying? So I can only imagine, if I had seen a video like this where a man was sharing his life experience, not just the stuff that happened that was, difficult, but also, the beauty of a positive male-female relationship, 12 years of marriage, 5 beautiful babies. I mean, really beautiful babies. My oldest is 9 years old now, and really trying to make things work. All the struggles that we have. Well, the struggle is mainly material, but who's not having those, right? But, but still making it work, Mama committed, daddy committed. We laugh a lot. We joke a lot. That's what helps us to get through the day. That's what helps us to get through the week. That's what helps us get through the month. And we know that it's the right thing to do because we see it in our children. And when our children, my wife and I have been talking recently about, different behaviors that we feel we need to correct in them. But we don't look at it just because there's something wrong with them. We say, wait a minute, it's something that we're not doing as parents. What do we need to do differently? So we actually put together a list yesterday of things that we're going to do differently and see if it helps with their behavior. It's not that they're doing all kind of crazy stuff, but we just want to make sure that we continue to guide them appropriately so that my sons, by the age of 16 or 17, they will be functional men. You don't have to wait until they get to the age of 32 like me, to where finally I'm just getting on the cusp of actually functioning as a man. See what I'm saying? So I can only imagine where I would be if I had videos like this when I was 12, 13 to watch of a man who is honorable. And I'm an honorable dude. I really am. I'm a loyal dude. I don't give my wife any fussing, any fighting. I don't create any drama in my wife's life. As a matter of fact, her life has been she has such a horrible, I don't know if I should say it that way, but her life experience has been so traumatizing that my commitment is that for the rest of her life, I want to make it as pleasurable as possible. She deserves that. So that's the power of manhood, to give of self so that someone else can benefit. See, I want to do everything. I'm doing everything in my power to make sure that my wife's, the rest of her life is the best that it can be, because so much of her life was the worst that it could be. See, so to be able to see that, for men to see that, for women to see that, for children to see that, it's important. So I want to encourage you to share this video with somebody. Okay. It could be a friend, a family member, it could be, your son, your daughter. It can be your mate. Share it with somebody. Okay, because I think this is an important topic. And there was one last part of the question, too. What about women who have other women look at them crazy for not having kids or sleeping around, and parents who put pressure on them because they want grandchildren? So for women, there's other women who look at them for not having children. Nowadays, I'm going to say this, that nowadays it's almost been reversed. And I'm just going to say this as a generalization because this has been our experience, that nowadays women who have children, or especially have a lot of children, they're looked upon by other women as if they're crazy. In other words, other women look at them as like, you having all these babies? What? You should be pursuing a career. You should be doing this. You should be doing that. And that's all cool, but again, it's organic. It's an organic experience. If you're in a positive male-female relationship, you got to live organically. Okay. And I know it would be nice to be able to do all these other wonderful things, but you always got to put it in context of what you're building towards. See, and there are some, women and men who make the choice that they're going to pursue particular careers, but they're not necessarily investing in their own personal development, and then they don't establish a positive male-female relationship. So then what's the point? Because then they get to the age of 35, they don't know how to relate to women, they don't know how to relate to men. They may have a wonderful job, right? But in terms of male-female relationships, it's levels of dysfunction. So the point is, you got to make the balance. And I would propose that it's more important to be able to develop friendships with women as a man, or friendships with men as a woman, than to simply focus in on career goals. Because ultimately, what's going to carry you forward in male-female relationships is the degree to which you are able to build long-standing friendships. Does this make sense? Do it. I mean, you can do it all. I'm not saying don't, because I went to college myself, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying don't do those things. I'm not saying men don't go to college. I'm not saying women don't. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is develop the ability to establish positive male-female relationships. No strings attached. Okay? And then whatever unfolds out of that, let it be an organic, and it will be in line with your career goals. See, a lot of us, we make this mistake where we have children, but we want to put the children within the matrix of our career goals. What's more important? See, for my wife and I, we put our career goals within the scope of raising children. And we do have people who look at us as if something's wrong with us. And all these babies, what? So I'm going to propose this as a possibility, as a generalization, that I kind of sense that, so socially speaking, nowadays it's been reversed, that if you have children, now people think that something's wrong with you. Okay. But of course, there are situations and there are instances, just to honor the question, wherein women feel pressure. They may feel pressure from their mother or their father. They want grandchildren. And it just goes back to, it's an organic thing. You let it unfold as it unfolds. You don't allow pressure from parents or pressure from society. You don't even allow pressure from society to make you think that you have to be in a male-female relationship in the first place. Okay, because it doesn't honor your life experience. It has to be an organic thing. And bringing children into the world, from our vantage point, it should be an organic thing. Just like everything else out here in nature is an organic experience, and it unfolds as it should. That's how life unfolds, and that's how my wife and our approach is. But for you women, maybe you get to a certain age and you have pressure. Your parents want grandchildren, and you're getting a little bit older. I would just say don't allow the pressure to make you make a choice or a decision, because, and I'll end with this, there are women who, because their quote unquote biological clock is clicking, they may make choices out of what is the word? Can't think of the word right now. Not frustration. Frustration. I can't think of the word right now, but there's a particular word that I wanted to use, and I've used it before in other videos while I talk about male-female relationships. It's like making a choice. Oh, it's right on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. But the point being is that there are women who will make a choice that is not the best choice, because they feel like their back is up against the wall. And then they end up, being in a relationship and having a child with someone. They may get the child, but they don't have the positive relationship. And then now the child has to be raised within this level of dysfunction. Okay. You see my point here? That's what I'm saying. The most important thing is to be able to establish positive male-female relationships in the first place. And out of that, everything else will grow organically. And then the last thing here was, what about women who look at other women crazy for sleeping around? Well, the thing is that, I'm going to tell you all, sleeping around is not responsible, and you have to be responsible for your vagina. You got to be responsible for your penis. We live in an age where sexual promiscuity is almost like people feel free, but what are you really free of? What are you trying to be free of? All you're doing is giving stuff away for free. You're giving your body parts away for free. See, when you give stuff away for free, people don't value it. Did y'all know that? When you give your body away for free, people don't value it. When you give your penis away for free, you don't value it. When you give your vagina away for free, you don't value it. And you do not expect the man that you're giving it to respect it either. And for you men out there, sexual promiscuity, so forth and so on, don't think that the women really value you as a man. Don't think they value your penis. It's just a tool that they like to use, and vice versa. So what I'm saying is, there's nothing wrong with having sexual intercourse, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, because I have 5 beautiful babies. Okay, and throughout nature, we see this interplay of the masculine and feminine come together to create life and this joining, what we call sex or sexual intercourse. So that's not what I'm saying. Okay, I'm not saying that you have to be absent for the next 4 years or 5 years of your life because I've done that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be responsible for your vagina and be responsible for your penis, and understand that if you abuse it and you use it and give it away for free, someone's going to come along to continue to use it and abuse it because they want it for free. And the more you give it away for free, the less value you have. You lower your self-value, your self-worth, and your self-esteem. So what are you trying to become free from? Oh, I'm liberated. No, you're not. You're enslaved. You're enslaved to your penis. You're enslaved to your vagina. And these sexual impulses that are not attached to intellectual process, wherein you would conceptualize in your mind the value of establishing a positive male-female relationship in the first place, and then to enjoy the sexual bliss that comes as a result. And understand that there is a difference between having sexual intercourse with someone that you don't care about and that you don't know, and having someone that you really care about and that you know wholeheartedly. Okay, so that's what I would say to that. I want to thank you so much for asking the question. It's a really, really beautiful question. And I'm glad. I believe it was a male. So for you, brother, understand, man, if you are living a life wherein you have sexual discipline, I honor you right now as a man, as a husband of 12 years, and as a man, a father of 5 beautiful babies. I honor you right now. And I think that men really need to think critically about what I've talked about here, because ultimately it's about your power. If you give away your power sexually, understand that you will alleviate yourself of your power as a man. Your masculine power. See what I'm saying? Because that sex thing, we're going to do a whole video on that in terms of energetically. Okay. But if you respect your power, you respect your penis, you come into levels of power you've never imagined. See, that's what I'm saying. I see the power in men. I love women, but I see the power in men. And I want to help males to reclaim their power and build it up. Not just so that you can be braggadocious, so that then you can just walk around like you. No, that's not it. Build your power, know your power, so that you can change the lives of those around you, because you have the power to do that. In particular, you can change the life of a woman. That's what I'm doing for my wife. I want her for the rest of her life to be able to experience the most happy experience that she can have, because so much of her childhood was traumatizing. That's what it means to be a man. Not to be having sex with as many women as you can. Not to be sexually promiscuous and dominating women sexually. And putting your penis into their anuses. And that's not what it means to be a man. That's not it. That's not manhood. That's not masculinity. It's not looking at women through the lens of trauma, because that's what boys do. What men do is we developed clear vision. Vision of manhood, vision of masculinity, vision of husbandhood, vision of fatherhood, and an appropriate, respectful vision of women. So I say to all of you brothers who happen to see, wherever you may be at around the world, you all my brother, reclaim your power today. Think about it. That's all I ask. Think about it. You are a powerful being on planet Earth. Join me on Sundays for Visions of Manhood too, by the way. I have a live video stream on my website, linenhonor.com. I also plan on streaming that live on YouTube. And we talk about these types of issues. We take phone calls. I take questions from the chat room. Join me then if you don't mind. Subscribe to my YouTube account if you found any of this to be beneficial to you, man or woman. Okay? Subscribe. Also, if you can, sign up as a premium member on my website, linenhonor.com, because I have videos like this one up there for premium members. And I upload new content for premium members every single Monday on linenhonor.com. My name is Lennon Honor, and on behalf of the Honor family and on behalf of nature too, I really enjoy it out here. I want to send you lots of love, peace, and positivity. Until next time, take care. Peace.